Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here, and today we are going to be checking out Big Bumpin' for the Xbox 360.
Yep, this is continuing our look at the Burger King Xbox 360 games from 2006. So if you missed our review of Sneak King, check the link below.
I am so happy to be moving on, Jim.
Yeah, we started at a low point, so it's only going up from here.
Moving on up, Jim.
Let's get into it.
From the east side.
Released in 2006, this was developed by Blitz Games and published by King Games. These were the only 3 games with this combination. Part of a promotional package where for $4 with the cost of a value meal, you could buy these games. And, we talked about this in Sneak King too. So, moving on.
The graphics. I have to be honest, and maybe I'm a little biased coming from goddamn Sneak King to this. I was amazed there was this much effort put into this game. You have 5 different levels and 2 ranks per level. They actually put a decent amount of detail, and there are things going on other than just your cars moving. You have special area effects going on, you have special powers, and some of these rinks look kind of cool. Not to mention, you can even create your own driver, which, yes, it is very simple, but as we said, for a $4 game, I don't know why they felt the need to put this much effort into it, but I actually appreciated it. We're judging on a scale as it goes without saying, so I was actually impressed enough where I gave it a 6 and Jim gave it a 4. When it comes to beer, I'll add 2 because Jim's being a little too rough and he didn't get the full Sneak King experience to understand what true goodness is.
Alright, the sound. You know what? It's not the worst package in the world. You get a couple different music tracks for the different rinks, basically, that you play on. There's a decent-ish, it's not a ton of different sound effects, but you at least have some variety with your different power-ups and when you boost. Not really anything in the way of, voice acting or anything like that, but it still feels like a decent enough experience, even though it is also still weirdly quiet at the same time. And yeah, I mean, just after playing Sneak King, it's a sliding scale, really. But we gave it 4s. It's not amazing, but it's alright. It's still not average, but it's alright. And when it comes to beer, I'll give it 2 beers for, a little bit of a variation in the music, but still being a little too quiet for its own good.
The control. Well, thank God they made it as simple as possible. You have 2 buttons. You have A for your boost, and B for your taunt, and then obviously your D-pad or your L stick to move around. That's it. And you know what? That's all a game like this actually requires. Now, to be honest, I found the control a little both stiff but slippery at the same time. Jim definitely noticed it being very slippery. And when you get some of these power-ups, you can really feel like you have no control over it. But there's a part of me that goes, well, it is bumper cars, so you're not going to be perfect. I didn't think it was absolutely game-breaking, but I didn't think it was perfect by any means. So I felt that this was good enough and simple enough to warrant a 5. Jim gave it a 4. When it comes to beers, I'm only going to add 1 because I think this is a game that you can easily overcome that's not the tightest control in the world. But it's not going to make you think, oh man, this controls perfectly. So that's a fair amount of beers.
The gameplay. You know what? For a $4 bumper car game, it's a lot deeper than I was expecting. So you get single player and multiplayer, and you also get online multiplayer through Xbox Live. Now, obviously, in 2022, the Xbox Live service for this does not work. So either the servers are completely down or there's just no one playing. It's probably both, but it is what it is. It's sad to see, but that's our digital future. So besides that, you get Loki multiplayer and...
Wait, did you say Loki?
What? I did, didn't I?
Word's right.
I meant local.
Fuck.
And you know what? Local multiplayer is a lot of fun. Like, I played this a lot with one of my best friends back in the day, and you know, you get a bunch of people together. It's goofy ridiculousness, but it's a fun time. And single player, you're basically going through a preset number of 5 tournaments where you can unlock some better cars after a couple ones. And there's 5 game types in here. So there's Last Man Standing, which is basically typical bumper cars. You're trying to bump. It's almost like a sumo fight. You're trying to bump each other off of the board. And the last one there's the winner. Then there's Own the Puck, which is actually kind of unique, but I always sucked at it. Where basically, if you're the one who touches the puck, you're trying to, that changes it to your color of your bumper car, and you're trying to keep it as that color until you hit a preset score and you win. So that's just a mad dash of everyone either bumping each other out of the way or just trying to hit it and bump it away from everyone. That one's fun. Then there's Bumpin' Hockey, which is you're playing 2-on-2 hockey. Like, it's basically the best game in here. It's a lot of fun. In single player mode, there isn't nearly enough of it, but it's still a fun game of air hockey, basically, using bumper cars. It's goofy. And then there's Shock Ball, and this was more interesting than it was good, where basically, think hot potato. So you're holding on to the puck, and you're trying to get, and it's, you know, basically charging down. And if you're the person who's holding it at the end, it explodes and it hurts you. And if you get hit a certain number of times, then you're knocked out of the game. But it also has a blast radius, so if you're too close to the hot potato car, you get hit by it too. So basically the main goal is just to stay the hell away from it when it's about to go off. So it's alright, but it's probably the weakest game here. And then there's Power Surge, which I had a lot of fun with. And this is also a Mad Dash type game where there's a bunch of set points around the board, and you're trying to be the first one to hit them each time. So you can kind of cheese it in single player mode where you can just kind of hoard around 2 or 3 of them and just keep going back and forth until you win. But in multiplayer, it becomes a friggin' free-for-all. So, like I said, in multiplayer, this game is so much more fun than it is in single player. But in single player, it's not great, but it's a hell of a lot better than Sneak King. And then you get a bunch of pickups. You get a bunch of power-ups, like you can repair your car, drive faster, have a shield, stuff like that. So it's cool that they added a lot to the formula. So we both gave it 5s. If this was single player only, this would definitely get a lower score, but because you can have so much fun in multiplayer, and for a while you could play online, it's not a terrible package, especially for $5. So when it comes to beer, I'll just give 1 rest in peace beer for not being able to play online anymore.
All right, you're going to call us crazy, but there is some originality here. We are hard-pressed to think of any other bumper car game out there. Now, when looking it up before this review, there are some more obscure titles and even some things on like Steam or Switch, but honestly, before this game, when did you ever play a bumper car game online? I honestly have to give it points for that. It did come out the same time as Sneak King, so it still has that Burger King theme. But just the sheer fact that it's not only a bumper car game, but one with power-ups, it earned some points from us. So keeping it as simple as possible, I gave it a 6. Jim gave it a 5. You know what? You might hate a few things. You can't hate on the fact that it was a kind of interesting idea to do. So when it comes to beer, I'm going to give 1 celebratory beer because, as Jim alluded to, this can be really fun with friends. So don't sleep on this one.
The replayability. I kind of went over it already, but you have local multiplayer. You have online multiplayer. Well, did. And then you have a couple different game modes. You have a few unlockables. And, for a lark, you can also change the outfit of the characters in the game. It's extremely bare bones. Like, you can only change, like, the hair color or the skin color or the shirt by, like, a very small handful of preset things. So, that's like a waste of time. You'll never touch it after looking at it once. But besides all that, with all the fun you can have for multiplayer, and there's achievements, so you can always get achievements. And there's online leaderboards. So, yeah, there's stuff to come back to. So, Brian gave it a 5, and I gave it a 6. And when it comes to beer, I'll just give it 1 beer, once again, for losing that potential with the online multiplayer.
All right, so overall, man, was this such a breath of fresh air compared to Sneak King. This game came out left field for me. I didn't expect much. Jim had some experience in the past with his buddies playing it. And I gotta say, there is fun to be had, especially in some of those modes, especially like hockey. It's odd how fun it can get. Now, we're not saying it's very deep or like, oh my god, you need to go out and play it, but it's not bad. It has its faults. It's very slippery. The graphics and sound aren't going to blow you away, but you can have fun here.
Yeah, and like as a single player experience, it's better than Sneak King, but it's still like not amazing. And you can go through all the tournaments in probably an hour and a half to 2 hours. The real fun from it comes from multiplayer. Like, this is just a great party game. Now, like we said a bunch of times, it's only going to be a local multiplayer game at this point, but if you get some buddies together and throw down some beers and you throw these game modes on, it's stupid, simple fun. So, for that reason alone, we both gave it 5s. The multiplayer really builds it up, but as a multiplayer party game that's just stupid fun, you can do so much worse for $4.
Yeah, and when we round all the scores together, it still comes out to a 5. If it was only gauged on multiplayer, it would honestly probably be a 6 or maybe even a 7, depending on how drunk you are. But it has its faults, like we said, so you know what? If you are going to get a Burger King game, definitely avoid Sneak King. This might not be bad for $4 to pick up.
Yeah, now if you don't have friends, I don't have to tell you, but you know what? It's still better than Sneak King. I might be saying that a lot with these games.
So, with that, guys, thank you for watching. Let us know if you've ever played any of these Burger King games, and cheers.
Cheers.
When it comes to beer pairing, I'm going to go with a really fun and flavorful beer, so I went with the Leinenkugel Summer Shandy. You get a ton of lemon in this beer, and it's only 4.2%, so it goes down super smooth. It's not too sweet, and you and a buddy could easily go through 2 6-packs. So grab it and enjoy yourselves. But remember to drink your beers and play your games responsibly.